Hey y'all! Lots of things have changed since the last time I made a big AU explanation video. So here's a new one. A narrated one even. There will be timestamps, so if there's something specific you want to know about, you can jump to there. For a while I had two AUs, Possessed and Mimic, but I decided to just switch to having the Mimic AU because I hardly ever make anything with the Possessed AU anyway. Disclaimer, this is an alternate universe. It's my own spin on Fnaf. A whole lot of things in my AU are things I do not believe to be actually canon, so do not take this video as me saying any of this is canon to Fnaf. And content warning, as I will be discussing murder and just some general dark themes. Anyway, let's get into this. To start us off, let's meet the main four. Hallie Thompson. Pronouns she, her. Sexuality, lesbian. Gender, cisgender woman. Race, Caucasian. Age at time of death, 18. Height, 5 foot 6 inches tall. Birthday, February 6th, 1968. Relatives, George Thompson, dad. Possesses, Toy Chica. Other, has albinism. Macy Alexander. Pronouns she, her. Sexuality, polysexual. Gender, cisgender woman. Race, Native American and Caucasian. Age at time of death, 18. Height, 5 foot 8 inches tall. Birthday, April 9th, 1968. Relatives, Jess Alexander mom, Ryan Alexander dad, and Jordan Alexander older brother. Possesses, mangled. Other, has ADHD. River Turner. Pronouns, they, them. Sexuality, cast-sexual. Gender, non-binary. Race, African American. Age at time of death, 17. Height, 5 foot 11 inches tall. Birthday, November 20th, 1969. Relatives, Tiffany Turner mom, Jeremy Turner younger brother. Possesses, Toy Bonnie. Adam Garcia. Pronouns, he, him. Sexuality, gray arrow ace. Gender, cisgender guy. Race/ethnicity, Hispanic. Age at time of death, 17. Height, 5 foot 3 inches. Birthday, August 23rd, 1969. Relatives, Anthony Garcia, dad. Laura Garcia, mom. And Carlos Garcia, older brother. Possesses, Toy Freddy. Other, has POTS. Okay, now we get into the summary of the story of the toys. Note, I will refer to Macy, Hallie, River, and Adam as the main four often. In fall 1984, Adam and River were both popular at school, but in very different ways. Adam had become popular because of his older brother Carlos. Carlos was the Bonnie bully, so when the bite of '83 happened, suddenly everyone knew the Garcia family. Adam was able to turn his sudden popularity into an everyone likes him situation, although he did end up friends with some crappy people. River's popularity was an everyone hates them kind of popularity. When they had come out as non-binary, they were socially ostracized. Everyone at school knew who River was, but almost no one wanted to be friends with them. River and Adam knew about each other, but they didn't officially meet until one afternoon at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Adam's friends had peer pressured him into going to Freddy's, only to end up ditching him. But River and their little brother Jeremy saw Adam sitting alone and decided to walk up and introduce themselves. Adam and River were instant friends. River loved to talk about things and Adam loved to listen. A lot of the times when River and Adam were hanging out, Jeremy would also be there with his 8-year-old wisdom. Adam, now having a much better friend, left his old bad friends behind. His positive popularity went away, but he didn't mind. Fast forward to summer 1985 to Jeremy's 9th birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. His mom was busy, so River was in charge. Sadly, Adam couldn't make it to the party, but Jeremy did have his friends Susie, Gabriel, and Fritz there. William Afton had watched River and Jeremy schedule Jeremy's birthday party, and William decided that that party would be the perfect time for him to run another remnant experiment. During the party, River had to quickly run to the bathroom, but they were gone for just long enough for William, dressed in the spring Bonnie suit, to lure Susie, Gabriel, Fritz, and Jeremy to the back room. A girl named Cassie saw William lure the other four. She followed them to see what was happening, and there she would meet her own fate. When River came back from the bathroom, they couldn't find Jeremy anywhere, and they realized that Susie, Gabriel, and Fritz were also missing, and they saw a father looking for his daughter Cassidy. It didn't take long for the 5 to be reported missing, and Freddy's soon shut down. River was distraught at the loss of their brother. They tried desperately to find Jeremy. No matter how much time had passed since the MCI, they never stopped looking. They constantly made rounds around the town, making sure that Jeremy's missing posters were still up. River also blamed himself for Jeremy going missing, although Adam was there to assure them that it wasn't their fault. Adam helped as best he could. Months and months passed. Jeremy and the others were never found. Eventually, the police declared the 5 missing children as dead and closed their case. Now, we cut to Hallie and Macy. In fall 1985, Macy and her family moved to town. Macy hated being the new kid. She was very shy, and thanks to her ADHD, she struggled a lot with classes. However, she was very good at drawing and would often draw scenes around the school, like a teacher teaching or students playing in the basketball court during lunch. Hallie, who had lived in town her whole life, was constantly bullied because of her albinism. She had very pale skin, had reddish eyes, her hair was practically white, and she was very sensitive to sunlight. The other kids would call her a vampire and treat her horribly because of it. Hallie could take the bullying, but she couldn't stand to see other people getting bullied and would often step in. She ended up in a lot of fights because of that. Macy loved Hallie's fierce spirit, and she got a massive crush on Hallie. With encouragement from her older brother Jordan, Macy decided to finally try and talk to Hallie. She knew that Hallie often visited the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza on weekends, and she decided there would be a good place to introduce herself. Meanwhile, William was starting to prepare his next remnant experiment. The new Freddy's had opened, there were new animatronics, and William hadn't yet done a remnant test on teenagers. He decided he needed new subjects. His first choice was River, because he wanted to take out both siblings. Then he chose Adam, since Adam was friends with River, but he still needed 2 more. So he decided to stalk people at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. At Freddy's, he saw Macy ask Hallie to be friends, and on an impulse, he chose Macy and Hallie to be the last 2 experiments. Back to Hallie and Macy, the 2 hit it off. They were both happy to have a friend, and it didn't take long for Hallie to get a crush on Macy too. A month after becoming friends, Hallie asked Macy out, and they became girlfriends. They decided to not try and hide their relationship, and while they faced homophobia because of it, their relationship stayed strong. Hallie and Macy loved each other. They always stuck by each other and always supported each other. For example, Hallie would often pose for Macy's drawings, and Macy would help Hallie master the arcade machines at Freddy's. At one point, Macy made the 2 matching necklaces. Hallie and Macy were inseparable, but in order to enact his plan, William needed them separate. So he thought up a way to do that. In late summer of 1986, Hallie and Macy were leaving their favorite park to head to Hallie's house. When crossing the street, a car came from out of nowhere. Macy was in the middle of the street when Hallie noticed the car. Hallie rushed in to try and get Macy out of the way, but she didn't make it in time. Hallie got hurt, but Macy took the brunt of it. It was a hit and run, and the car didn't have license plates. And driving the car was none other than William, although no one was able to figure that out. Macy was immediately knocked unconscious by the hit, and Hallie started screaming for help. A passerby who had seen what happened ran into a nearby restaurant and called 911. Macy was rushed to the hospital. She ended up having to have her leg amputated and was put into a medically induced coma. Hallie had to get a couple stitches, but was otherwise physically okay. She was extremely distressed over Macy getting so injured and ending up in a coma. Hallie spent all the time she could visiting Macy in the hospital. Whenever visiting hours were over, Hallie would visit her in Macy's favorite park. Hallie missed Macy deeply. A couple months after Macy entered her coma, William was ready to strike. He had everything planned very carefully. He knew where he could find the main 4 out and about at night. From December 1986 to January 1987, William, dressed as Spring Bonnie, killed each of the main 4 on separate occasions. River died first while they were on their rounds making sure Jeremy's missing posters were still up. Hallie died next, during one of her visits to her in Macy's favorite park. Adam died third, during one of his Saturday night walks. After Macy woke up from her coma and was released from the hospital, she visited the last place Hallie was seen, where she too died. There were a few reports of a man in a rabbit costume acting suspicious, but nothing ever came of those. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam were all declared missing. No one but William Afton knew that their bodies had been put into the new, shiny animatronics at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Not going to go into the detail of how that worked. All of the main 4 were quite shocked to find that they had not moved on into whatever afterlife there is, but instead had become ghosts possessing animatronics. Hallie and Toy Chica, Macy and Mangle, River and Toy Bonnie, and Adam and Toy Freddy. They were even more shocked to find each other. Hallie and Macy were happy to have each other again, but devastated to know that the other was murdered, and the same goes for Adam and River. While the two pairs hadn't interacted much while alive, they all became friends in death. The four hated having to perform for the kids at Freddy Fazbear's. They hated having to see happy faces while they themselves were trapped in agony. The kids hardly treated the animatronics with respect. The four were constantly having food thrown at them, had kids trying to take them apart, had kids constantly screaming at them, etc. Adam's older brother Carlos worked at Freddy's, and Adam struggled having to see him almost every day. Adam wished desperately to talk to Carlos, but the toy animatronic voice boxes never worked properly, and Carlos couldn't see or hear Adam's ghost. Plus, how was he even supposed to tell Carlos that this giant robot bear is actually his missing brother and have it go well? On occasion, Carlos would talk to the animatronics, and although Adam always answered, Carlos never heard. Many customers filed reports of a foul smell coming from the animatronics, but the higher-ups at Fazbear Entertainment would simply ignore the complaints. The animatronics were never fully inspected. Employees were simply told to spray them with Febreze and call it good. It didn't take long for the toys to find a locked-up door in the back end of a hallway in the pizzeria. It also didn't take them long to get it unlocked because, well, animatronic strength. Inside the room, the toys found the withered animatronics and the souls of the 5 missing kids, and also the soul of Dave Afton. Jeremy and River were thrilled to be together again, but heartbroken at what had happened to each other. Since they didn't yet know that Puppet was possessed, Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam were surprised to find out about William's other victims. Adam was surprised to find Dave, the victim of Carlos and his friends' cruel prank. The toys and the Wizards meeting each other and becoming friends helped them all to not feel so alone. After they had met, Charlie Emily finally introduced herself to the new souls. Hallie, Macy, River, Adam, Jeremy, Susie, Gabriel, Fritz, Cassidy, Dave, and Charlie all got along great. Although they were only on stage a short time as Freddy's had closed down about 2 weeks after the MCI, the Wizards understood the pain of having to perform for live and well children. And they had their own way to blow off steam that they taught the toys. The art of tormenting night guards. The toys would never physically hurt the night guards, they only liked to scare them. It only ever took at most 5 days for a night guard to quit. After a long day of dealing with bratty children, the toys would have their fun terrifying the guards. They continued this cycle for a little over a month until our good old friend Michael Afton took the night guard position. While the main four had never seen William's face, all of the other souls had. And at this point in time in 1987, Michael, now 18, looked a whole lot like a younger William Afton. Enough so that most of the MCI and Charlie mistook him for actually being William. Dave realized it was his brother, but still angry at Michael over his death, he didn't say anything. Cassidy also realized who it was, but sensing Dave's anger, also kept quiet. The toys' game of toying with the night guards suddenly got very serious. The animatronics launched a full-scale attack on Michael, who barely made it through the night alive. Michael realized that there was something seriously wrong going on at Freddy's, but he decided to quit after one night to instead dedicate time to some research. In the week following Michael's night on the job, the main four began to lash out during the day, throwing food back at the kids who first threw it, refusing to serve food for a birthday party, stopping in the middle of a performance, etc. Because obviously being brutally murdered and forced to spend your undead life as an unconsenting children's performer while your missing case goes cold and then thinking your murderer just took the job as a night guard to torment you further would take a toll on you, and you'd start to lash out too. But Hallie lashed out the hardest. During a performance, a little boy by the name of Nathan came up to the stage and started talking about how happy he thought the animatronics looked. Hallie snapped. Her agony consumed her and she blacked out. When she woke up, she found herself in one of the party rooms, covered in blood, with her animatronic beak shoved into Nathan's head. Nathan barely survived and he suffered a massive traumatic brain injury. After the incident, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza immediately closed its doors once again. Hallie couldn't believe what she had done. The haunting memory of waking up in a room with Nathan's almost lifeless body kept replaying over and over and over again. She was in complete and utter shock. As for the others, River couldn't believe what Hallie had done either, and they stopped talking to her. Adam was sympathetic. He had watched Carlos go through the same torment after the bite of 83. Macy could immediately sense the pain Hallie was going through, and she did her best to support Hallie. River did eventually warm up to Hallie again. They realized that they could have been the one to snap, and they could tell Hallie was full of regret. It was both a blessing and a curse to no longer have to perform for the kids. A blessing because the four didn't have to deal with seeing happy children and didn't have to deal with the rude ones. And a curse because all the souls were now completely isolated from the outside world. All 11 souls tried their best to stay entertained. Although they could never tell exact dates, when they figured it was around the right time, they would celebrate holidays. They would play games, whether it was games they made up, arcade games that still worked, or board games they found in storage. Sometimes they would even do performances for each other. But no matter what they did to try and have fun, nothing ever distracted from the pain and agony they all felt. In 1994, Fazbear Entertainment decided to rebrand and try again. They created a new location and decided to use some of the old animatronics for it. A team of workers came to the toys location and took the Wizards and the puppets. After spending years trapped together, the sudden separation caused even more suffering. It was especially hard on Jeremy and River, who couldn't stand to be apart again. Hallie made Cassidy promise that if she and the other souls ever ran into the murderer again, they would make sure he suffered the same way they had. Cassidy kept that promise. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam were now completely alone. While grateful to at least have each other, they missed the other 7 souls. Even while they tried to keep themselves entertained the same way they had before, it just wasn't the same without the other souls. Undead life in solitude was incredibly boring. Even so, Hallie and Macy's relationship, River and Adam's close friendship, and all four's friendship never faltered. In 1997, a trio of teenagers named May, JC, and Jack decided it was a fantastic idea to break into an abandoned pizzeria, and so they broke into the toys location. May had heard rumors that ghosts possessed the animatronics, and she had the wise idea to bring a Ouija board with her. Turns out the rumors she had heard were right. The trio used the Ouija board in the main dining room of the toys pizzeria, and they did, in fact, communicate with ghosts. They weren't expecting the Ouija board to actually work, and they certainly weren't expecting what came next. They didn't expect the ghost to tell them to look inside the toy animatronics. They didn't expect to find 4 dead bodies. They didn't expect their trip to Freddy Fazbear's to end in them running away, screaming and traumatized. May, JC, and Jack never reported what they saw to the police, as they were too scared to admit they had broke in. Hallie, Macy, Adam, and River didn't get their closure. As the years slowly and painfully passed for the main 4, the toy animatronics began to break down. Their screws and bolts rusted, their servos got stuck again and again, and hell, even some of their limbs would fall off. The decay of the animatronics had an effect on the souls too. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam were all very, very tired, but they couldn't rest. The boredom took a toll on them as well. They couldn't tell whether 10 minutes had passed, or 10 hours, or 10 days. Ways to pass the time became harder and harder to do. While May, JC, and Jack were the first to find the bodies of Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam, they weren't the last. In the summer 2015, Fazbear's Fright was getting built, and the company running it wanted to have authentic Fazbear Entertainment relics to display. They sent out employees to old locations to search for anything they could use. One such employee was Carlos, who worked as a technician for Fazbear's Fright. He was sent to the toys location to disassemble the animatronics to be made into props. Carlos started with Toy Freddy, and he made the shocking discovery that his brother's body was inside. And after finding Adam's body, Carlos checked the other animatronics and found 3 more bodies. He immediately reported it to the police, who were able to confirm that the 4 bodies were the bodies of Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam. The autopsy report showed that the 4 had been murdered, then stuffed inside the animatronic suits. Police suspected that the murderer was William Afton. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam's cases finally had closure. However, their story isn't over quite yet, as their souls were still attached to the toy animatronics. So when Fazbear's Fright decided they still wanted the toy animatronic parts and somehow managed to convince the police to let them have said parts, the main 4 souls moved to Fazbear's Fright. At Fazbear's Fright, Hallie, Macy, River, Adam, Jeremy, Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, Cassidy, Dave, and Charlie all got to reunite. River thought that they would have a happy reunion with Jeremy, but Jeremy had changed. The years of agonizing boredom without his older sibling weighed down on him. He was colder and not talkative. He was happy to see River again, but he couldn't express it. Cassidy told Hallie that she had kept her promise and their killer was trapped in a springlock suit, even though he technically did it to himself. However, the reunion didn't remain happy for too long. As the day after the toys arrived, Springtrap arrived. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam finally came face to face with the man who had murdered them. They were angry, but they couldn't really do anything more to hurt him. The spring locks were already hurting William, and the main four didn't have the strength to do anything else. But they were happy William was trapped and suffering. A new problem arose: the night guard. Michael had returned, but this time with his face covered with a mask. This time around, Michael had a plan. He wanted to set the souls of William's victims free and take William out in the process. But William had a plan to hurt Michael. And this time around, the souls weren't interested in tormenting the night guard. They didn't know who the night guard was, but they did know that William planned on hurting him. They didn't want anyone else to become William's victims. They had to come up with some way to warn the night guard. The animatronic parts couldn't really move, and their normal ghost forms couldn't be seen, and their voices could only be heard as a barely audible whisper. They needed something else. But Dave knew a way. While he technically possessed Golden Freddy with Cassidy, most of the time he was Shadow Freddy. While his actual ghost couldn't be seen, he was able to basically create a visible ghost of an animatronic. Honestly, I'm not really sure how to explain it best. But Dave was able to teach the other souls how to do the same thing. Thus, the Phantoms were born. Phantom Freddy, Phantom Foxy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Bonnie, Phantom Puppet, Phantom Mangle, Phantom Toy Freddy, Phantom Toy Bonnie, and Phantom Toy Chica. Still not able to be heard above a whisper, but now able to be seen, the Phantoms tried in their own way to warn the night guard. They thought they might be able to scare him away, but the guard never left. After 4 nights of the endless cycle of William attacking and the Phantoms trying to scare Michael away, what would end up being the final night came. And Michael came with something new: gasoline and matches. He poured gasoline around Fazbear's fright and lit a match. It didn't take long for the entire building to be engulfed in flame. The plan 1/3 worked. William made it out of the fire, and 7 of the souls survived it. But for Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam, the fire released their souls. They were finally able to move on. Their pain finally ended. First off, let's meet the family of Cassie Garcia Miller. The Garcias. Anthony Garcia, granddad. Laura Garcia, grandma. Carlos Garcia, dad. Adam Garcia, uncle. The Millers: Matthew Miller, granddad. Amanda Miller, grandma. Timothy Miller, dad. Other: Janet Ross, surrogate mother. Now let's get into the summary of the story. In 1983, when Carlos was 14, he was friends with Timothy, 13, Arthur Frazier, 13, and Michael Afton, 14. They were the Fnaf 4 tormentors. Carlos was the Bonnie bully, Timothy was the Chica bully, Arthur was the Freddy bully, and Michael was the Foxy bully. It was Michael's idea to bully Dave, who was Michael's little brother. Carlos was reluctant at first, but then joined in on the bullying. The 4 bullied Dave for around a month until the bite of '83 happened. Arthur left the friend group after the bite, and Michael became distant. Timothy and Carlos remained friends. Timothy and Carlos's parents made them work at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza after the bite as a sort of apology. Both of them started as waiters, but over the course of their long Fazbear careers, Timothy would become a chef/baker, and Carlos would become a technician. Back to 1983, Adam, Carlos's younger brother by a year, was extremely upset to find out Carlos had joined in on the bullying of another person's younger brother to the point it ended in tragedy. Carlos tried his best to make it up to Adam. Every time Carlos got a paycheck, he'd take Adam out to ice cream. He helped Adam with school, and he just generally spent as much time with Adam as he could. Over time, Adam and Carlos became good friends. They even got matching deck pins, which they both always wore. Carlos also began getting closer to Timothy. They had already been best friends before the bite, but they got even closer after it. They both started to have romantic feelings for each other. But tragedy struck again in 1987 when Adam went missing. Carlos was distraught. He searched for Adam for months and months with Timothy's help. The closest they ever got to an answer was someone saying they had seen a man in a yellow rabbit costume acting suspicious the night Adam had gone missing. But sadly, the lead led nowhere. Whenever working at Freddy's, at this point in 1907 still as a waiter, Carlos always felt like he was somehow close to Adam, which was weird because Adam had not liked Freddy's. Sometimes Carlos talked to the animatronics as if he was talking to his brother, but the animatronics were never able to respond. Carlos and Timothy somehow got closer, but both of them were scared of coming out for a long time. It took 8 years of close friendship after Adam went missing before Timothy finally opened up about his feelings for Carlos. Luckily for him, the feeling was mutual, and the two became a couple. 5 years after they began dating, they got married. Carlos and Timothy continued to work for Fazbear Entertainment whenever it was up and running, and would work for similar companies whenever it was out of business. Eventually in 2015, Carlos worked for the company behind Fazbear's Fright. His job was to go to old locations to disassemble the animatronics to repurpose them for Fazbear's Fright. One such location being the Toys location. When disassembling the toy animatronics, Carlos found the bodies of Hallie, Macy, River, and the body of his brother Adam. Carlos, of course, immediately contacted the police, and the 4 missing persons cases were finally solved. Carlos was shocked and angry at what happened to his brother, but a deep part of him was glad to finally have closure. The bodies were removed and the families of each victim were informed. After the police were done with their investigation, the toy animatronics were fully disassembled and their parts were placed in a box that was taken to Fazbear's Fright. Carlos took Adam's duck pin as a piece to remember him. After everything he had been through, Carlos developed PTSD. But despite that, he and Timothy still wanted to have a child. They found a surrogate mother named Janet Ross, and she would give birth to Cassie Garcia Miller in 2017. Carlos and Timothy were great parents to Cassie. From a young age, Cassie was also well aware of the nature of her birth. Janet would come visit from time to time. She was like an aunt to Cassie. When Cassie was about 5, Carlos gave her Adam's duck pin, which she would then always wear. While Cassie had trouble making friends at school, Carlos and Timothy were always there for her. In 2023, Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex was built, and both Carlos and Timothy got jobs there. Carlos would eventually become a Class 5 technician, the second highest level, while Timothy would become the lead baker. Whenever she wasn't at school, Cassie would be at the Pizzaplex with her dads. She loved it there. She got to try out all the new attractions before anyone else, courtesy of Carlos. And she got to have free pizzas and cupcakes whenever the kitchen made too much, courtesy of Timothy. Cassie became friends with most of the animatronics, and best friends with Roxy. She was never the biggest fan of Monty though. When Gregory moved to town in 2028, he and Cassie became friends. Whenever not hanging out with Tony and Ellis, and whenever not doing Patient 46 shenanigans, Gregory would hang out with Cassie. The two were always finding something fun to do at the Pizzaplex. But it didn't take long for tragedy to strike again. Fazbear Entertainment wanted to fire most of its human employees to replace them with staff bots. And to do that, they organized the all-staff meeting. The all-staff meeting was supposed to be an event where most human employees got to enjoy a piece of cake before getting the bad news that they were out of a job. But Glitchtrap had other plans. Vanny and Patient 46 were ordered to organize a mass murder instead. Patient 46 coded a group of endoskeletons to attack, and Vanny got the endos to the all-staff meeting. Timothy was the baker assigned to make the cake for the all-staff meeting, not knowing that he would face his death there. His agony, along with the agony of the rest of the human staff who were murdered, came to possess the wet floor bots. But to the rest of the world, including Carlos and Cassie, Timothy was yet another person who went missing at a Fazbear Entertainment establishment. The Mega Pizzaplex was searched along with the surrounding land, but no one ever found Timothy. Carlos and Cassie were devastated. It wasn't long after the all-staff meeting that the events of Security Breach happened in 2029, and the Pizzaplex was destroyed. Carlos, still stuck working for Fazbear Entertainment, was assigned to try and fix the animatronics and other bits of the Pizzaplex. He also had to work on Fazbear Entertainment's rebuild of Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. And things didn't end well for him. Carlos was on the verge of fully uncovering the secret of the Mimic virus, and Glitchtrap wanted to put a stop to that. Glitchtrap ordered his Nightmare-owned staff bots to kill Carlos. However, Glitchtrap didn't expect Carlos to possess the Princess Quest Bar arcade machine. Carlos was able to help Vanny defeat Glitchtrap once and for all, and then he went on to possess Maskbot. Distraught with both her dads missing, Cassie moved in with Janet. She lived with Janet for about a year until she received a strange message from Gregory asking her to come to the Pizzaplex. Gregory had gone missing after the events of Security Breach, so Cassie was excited to hear from him. Hoping her friend had finally been found, she immediately went to the Pizzaplex. Against his will, Carlos, possessing Maskbot, handed the Vanny mask to his daughter. The events of ruin happened, and Cassie would die in the Brazil ending. Will her story continue after that? Man, I hope so. Cassie is my favorite protagonist. At least we're getting Escape the Pizzaplex soon, but I am really hoping content about what happened to Cassie after Ruin will come out eventually. Anyway, there's the second of the two big stories done. Now moving on. It began with William and Henry in 1968 making 5 simple characters: Freddy the Bear, Chica the Chicken, Bonnie the Bunny, Foxy the Fox, and Puppet. They made a couple cartoons of these characters, but they wanted to expand. Henry had a background in robotics, and William had a background in business. They put their skills together to found Fazbear Entertainment, a company with a focus on animatronic mascot restaurants. In 1970, William and Henry organized Fall Fest, a festival where they could debut all the animatronic characters they had made so far. These were Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Puppet, and Eclipse, an animatronic with a split personality between the sun and the moon. It was a hit! Because of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie being the most popular at Fall Fest, William and Henry decided to use those two as the animatronics for their first restaurant, Fredbear's Family Diner. They would also eventually add in the puppet to watch over the kids. Fazbear Entertainment quickly grew into something William and Henry couldn't manage on their own, and the company grew. They eventually got Edwin Murray on the team to build animatronics. They opened locations all across Utah, and they produced vast amounts of animatronic characters, including ones like the mediocre Melodies. However, Fazbear Entertainment's first go at mass success quickly died after the events of Secret of the Mimic in 1979, whatever those events end up being. The company dwindled down back to just William, Henry, and Fredbear's Family Diner. After the bite of '83, William and Henry both left Fazbear Entertainment, and the company ended up getting bought by some rich guy. Sorry, I don't really have the full story there quite yet. I technically already covered this in the story of the toys, but I figured if people are wanting to know just about the MCI, I'd give it its own section. Anyway, in the middle of summer in 1985, Jeremy Turner was turning 9 years old, and he invited his friends Susie Morrison, 8 years old, Gabriel Campbell, 8 years old, and Fritz Holmes, 9 years old, to his birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. His older sibling, River, was there to chaperone. At one point, River had to go to the bathroom, and that's when William Afton, dressed in the Spring Bonnie suit, striked. He lured Susie, Gabriel, Fritz, and Jeremy to the back room, killed them, and would later put their bodies into the animatronics. Jeremy and Bonnie, Susie and Chica, Gabriel and Freddy, and Fritz and Foxy. Cassidy Weaver, 13 years old, saw William lure 4 children to a back room and followed to make sure they were okay. There, she too met her fate, as William shoved her into the Fredbear suit and triggered the spring locks. In 1983, shortly after Dave's death, William was drunk and frustrated. He decided to take his frustration out on Henry Emily by, well, killing 6-year-old Charlie. Essentially, the events of the security puppet minigame happen, and Charlie comes to possess the puppet. She learns how to take control of her new body, and when the other missing children come along, she teaches them to do the same. Give gifts, give life. The Afton family consists of 5 members: William, the dad, Anastasia, the mom, Michael, the oldest child, Dave, the middle child, and Elizabeth, the youngest child. Let's just do bullet points for the rest of this. William is a terrible father. Anastasia only stays with William for the kids. Michael and Anastasia were very close. William kills Anastasia, then she possesses Ballora. After Anastasia's death, Michael becomes a bit of a bully. William built Circus Baby to capture Elizabeth. To him, what's a better remnant and agony experiment than his own daughter? Dave sees Circus Baby capture Elizabeth when Elizabeth was 6 and Dave was 7. Michael's bullying gets much worse after Elizabeth goes missing, eventually leading up to the bite of '83. Dave went into a week-long coma after the bite. Dave was originally going to survive the coma, but William, being William, wanted to see what would happen to Dave's soul. And, well, I think you can get what I'm getting at here. Did I mention William sucks? Dave would end up becoming Shadow Freddy. More on this later. William dies in 2003. Michael dies in 2008. Wait. What's this? There's a fourth Afton child? Hang on, folks. Let's leave bullet point mode to explore this a bit more. In 1996, William meets Michaela Shelley, and soon after, they get married and have a child in 1997 named Vanessa. William's streak as a terrible father continues. In 2002, William and Michaela get a divorce, as Michaela simply could not stand him any longer. Michaela tried desperately to have full custody over Vanessa, but William made Vanessa lie about Michaela in court, leading to William having full custody. Michaela would later die due to her grief consuming her. William dies in 2003, leaving Vanessa to the foster care system. As soon as she turns 18 in 2015, Vanessa started living on her own. The rest of her story is explained a bit later. And that's it for the Aftons for now. Out of both needing a job and wanting to do some investigation, in 1987, Michael Afton became a night guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He only worked one night, as the animatronics had tried to kill him. But their aggression made Michael realize he needed to do a lot more investigation. In 1994, another new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opened, and in 1998, Michael once again became a night guard for it, but this time with only the intention to investigate his father's crimes. He lasted 1 week before the place shut down, but he learned a lot of valuable information, including what had happened to his brother Dave. There are two different parts to Fnaf 4, the minigames and the main gameplay. The minigames are set in 1983, not too long after Elizabeth's death. Honestly, not much else to explain here, it's just the events of the minigames. But it is William speaking through the Fredbear plush. Now on to the main gameplay. After Elizabeth's death, Dave began to have a lot of nightmares about the animatronics. Dave told William both about what he saw happen to Elizabeth and about his nightmares. William, of course already knowing what happened to Elizabeth since he planned the entire thing, didn't pay any attention to that. However, several years later, in 1998, William thought back to Dave's nightmares and got an idea for a new experiment. Build chambers designed to create a never-ending nightmare to test how the human brain and the body responds. Suspecting Michael was trying to find out what had happened to the missing kids and his siblings, William decided to capture Michael and throw him into the nightmare testing chambers. Michael was trapped in the testing chamber for years until he finally escaped with the help of Henry Emily in 2008. First, quick thing I just realized I needed to explain. Circus Baby's Pizza World never existed. William built Circus Baby and Ballora in 1983 with the specific intentions of putting Elizabeth and Circus Baby and Anastasia in Ballora. Circus Baby and Ballora were on stage for one day in Fazbear's Family Diner, not to be seen again until William built Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental in 2003, right above the Nightmare Testing Chambers and with several new characters. Now, back to Sister Location. After Michael escaped the testing chambers, he discovered Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental was built right on top of those chambers. Realizing something is definitely wrong here and wanting to investigate, Michael decides to work for Circus Baby's E&R. Thinking Michael is actually William, Circus Baby decides Michael is the perfect host to escape the bunker through. The events of Sister Location follow. Because of the scooper being a remnant machine, Michael gets fused with Remnant, and that remnant keeps him alive after Ennard leaves his body. Michael then joins Henry on the quest to find William. After dying, Dave technically possessed Fredbear, but he was pretty much a lost soul inside, not able to remember much of anything, a broken soul. When Cassie came along, she realized that she was not the only soul inside Fredbear. There was another, and he needed help. Cassidy was able to pick through Dave's memories and learn certain things about him, and she used the information she learned to help Dave piece himself back together. After finding himself, Dave was able to create Shadow Freddy. While still technically possessing Fredbear/Golden Freddy, Dave manifested as Shadow Freddy. In 2003, William was finally ready to put all that he had learned about Remnant and Agony to the test. He wanted to create an artifact using Remnant that would make him immortal. He knew the strongest bit of Remnant was from the MCI. So he broke into Freddy Fazbear's and destroyed Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. He had also planned on destroying Golden Freddy, but that didn't go very well for him. The night he came to destroy her was the night he died. William could suddenly see the souls of the children he had murdered, and he got scared and hid in the Spring Bonnie suit in the safe room. Of course, the spring locks went off and he became Springtrap. But because of the little bit of Remnant William had collected before trying to destroy Golden Freddy, he was able to be in some sort of limbo between life and death. As for the other Fazbear founder, Henry long suspected that William was behind Charlie's death, William's family members' death, the MCI, and the disappearances of Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam. After doing some of his own investigation, he found that to be the truth. The first thing Henry did was rescue Michael from the testing chambers in 2008. Then he and Michael began to work together. They worked behind the scenes for years, trying to find a way to put a stop to William and free all the souls. Eventually, in 2015, another company put together Fazbear's Fright, and Henry and Michael saw an opportunity. One of the things Michael and Henry had discovered was that Remnant could possibly be destroyed with fire, and if all of this Remnant was in one place, setting fire to that place could end things. So Michael applied to be a security guard for Fazbear's Fright, with ulterior motives in mind. As for the Phantom animatronics, much how Shadow Freddy is a projection of Dave's soul, the Phantoms are projections of the MCI and the Toy souls. There's Phantom Freddy, Phantom Foxy, Phantom Bonnie, Phantom Chica, Phantom Toy Freddy, Phantom Mingle, Phantom Toy Bonnie, and Phantom Toy Chica. The Phantoms, knowing that William Afton is in Fazbear's Fright, manifest to try and scare Michael away to save him. But Michael isn't scared away, and instead he lights Fazbear's Fright on fire. The fire releases the souls of Hallie, Macy, Adam, and River, but the rest remain. Henry and Michael decide to orchestrate another fire, and together they come up with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, aka the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator location. And this time, they are able to set almost all the souls free, including themselves. A couple other notes. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator is in 2017. Scrap Chica/Logbook Chica is a part of the equation and she is possessed by Susie. Scrap Baby is solely Elizabeth. Scrap Trap is solely William. And Lefty is solely Charlie. The souls inside Molten Freddy are Anastasia Afton, Gabriel, Jeremy, Fritz, Cassidy, and Dave. Molten Freddy came to be after the animatronics and Ennard kicked out Elizabeth/Circus Baby. Babyless Ennard found the remains of the Fazbear's Fright fire, and the souls still there, Gabriel, Jeremy, Fritz, Cassidy, and Dave, joined Ennard to become Molten Freddy. Anastasia is the main soul in charge of Molten Freddy for the most part, except during the events of FFPS, the AI of Molten Freddy takes over to try and attack Michael. The only souls that remain after the FFPS fire are Cassidy, Charlie, Andrew, and William. What happens to them is in the next section. Oh yeah, gang, we are here to add the Stitch Rate timeline to my AU. Here's some solid changes / explanations for things. The Stitchline epilogues take place in 2022, while all the connected stories take place between 2020 and 2022, starting with The Man in Room 1280. Eleanor is a manifestation of pure agony. Andrew and Cassidy are twins. Andrew was William's first victim in 1979. He was 7 years old. He possessed a green alligator animatronic that was a sixth member of the Mediocre Melodies. William realized what happened to Andrew's soul, and that's how William discovered Remnant. When the other 5 Mediocre Melodies were transferred to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place in 2017, so was the green alligator, and so was Andrew. During the FFPS fire, Andrew attached his soul to Williams to keep him alive and torture him. However, it wasn't just Andrew behind Ultimate Custom Night. His twin sister Cassidy also attached her soul to Williams during the FFPS fire. UCN Duo enters the chat as it was both twins torturing William. Old Man Consequences is a supernatural entity, and just that. He wants Cassidy and Andrew to rest their souls. In the Man in Room 1280 events, there were 3 entities inside William's brain: William, Cassidy, and Andrew. Both Cassidy and Andrew were seen as ghosts around the hospital, and both stopped the nurses' attempts to kill William. Otherwise, events aren't changed, and William's body explodes at a Fazbear Entertainment distribution center. Having been mostly separated from William's soul during the explosion, Andrew's agony goes on to infect a whole bunch of Fazbear things, while his soul goes into fetch. He then goes through the events of the Stitchline epilogues, his soul being set free by Jake, finally detaching him fully from William. Meanwhile, Cassidy's soul gets attached to some circuit boards. Those circuit boards would later get scanned into the in-universe Help Wanted game, and Cassidy would become the Princess Quest princess. Her soul finally got to rest after Princess Quest 4 and after Glitchtrap was defeated. As for William, the last remnants of Charlie's soul take down the Afton amalgamation, leading to William finally being dead and gone, and Charlie finally moving on. I'm not going to cover most of the stories connected to Stitchline in this video, mostly because I don't remember them all, and also because there are so many of them. However, because Into the Pit has so much content, I will cover it. So here's a few things to take note of. The Yellow Rabbit is an agony creature and not actually William Afton. Oswald's dad, Arthur, was the Freddy bully from Fnaf 4. And it took place in 2020. Oh boy, the Mimic. Do I even bother making an AU section about the Mimic, given the Secret of the Mimic game releasing soon-ish? Hopefully. Yeah, I'll establish some basic ideas, and then the full story will be built once Secret of the Mimic releases. The original Mimic was built in 1979 by Edwin Murray. Fazbear Entertainment made a line of Mimic endoskeletons based off the one Edwin had built. After the events of Secret of the Mimic, whatever they end up being, the original Mimic was trapped in the factory, and that factory would end up becoming part of the Pizzaplex's basement. The Mimic would be stuck in there until it tricked Cassie into freeing it. After the Mimic 1 code was uploaded to the system in Help Wanted, several strands of it began to take form, most prominent being Glitchtrap, the strand mimicking William Afton. Through the Storyteller tree, the Mimic further spread its influence throughout the entire Pizzaplex. Glitchtrap is fully destroyed in Princess Quest 4, leaving the original Mimic endoskeleton and other strands of the Mimic 1 virus. Other strands of the Mimic 1 virus include Helpy and Nightmare Own. The Mimic in the Tales from the Pizzaplex epilogues is a different Mimic to the one Edwin built, instead coming from the line of Mimics Fazbear Entertainment made. It's simply still trapped in a Springlock suit. Burntrap never existed. If Burntrap were to exist, that would have become Burntrap. In 2022, Vanessa was a game tester for the in-universe Help Wanted, where she met Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap manipulates Vanessa into being his follower and convinces her to use some Fazbear technology to create the Vanny mask, through which Glitchtrap infects Vanessa's mind. However, Vanessa was not the perfect follower, but she had a whole lot of agony built up from her time of being William Afton's daughter. Glitchtrap used and abused this agony to create Vanny. Vanny is an agony creature completely devoted to Glitchtrap, until Princess Quest 3 happens and Vanny and Vanessa are broken free of Glitchtrap. Vanessa moves on while Vanny stays behind until she, once and for all, destroys Glitchtrap in Princess Quest 4. Having just moved to town, Gregory and his family decided to visit the Grand Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. Being a bit of a troublemaker, Gregory sneaks off into employees-only location. He stumbles upon the Vanny mask and decides to try and prank his family by putting it on and scaring them. Only he instead got injected with an occipital transponder, through which Glitchtrap infected Gregory's mind and turned him into GGY/Patient 46. Gregory then does what GGY/Patient 46 does. In brief moments, Gregory could come back Glitchtrap's wishes. In one of those times, Gregory saw Cassie crying and decided to offer her a tissue, and they became friends. Another time when Gregory was able to combat Glitchtrap, just before the events of Security Breach, he played the Balloon World minigame. He entered one of the glitchy spots and defeated the glitchy world, effectively freeing himself fully from Glitchtrap, but also effectively wiping his memories of his time as DDY/Patient 46. One night at the Pizzaplex, during a performance, Glam Freddy breaks down, and Gregory sees this. And thinking his gaps in memory have something to do with the Pizzaplex, he decides to sneak into Glam Freddy's chest cavity in hopes he could find something out. The events of Security Breach follow. After beating Princess Quest 3, Gregory not only sets Vanessa free from Glitchtrap, but also regains his lost memories. Now knowing every single illegal thing he and Vanessa did, Eve, Vanessa, and Glam Freddy's head go into hiding. After the Pizzaplex was destroyed, Fazbear Entertainment rebuilt Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental as a sort of cash grab. The Blob/Tangle is built from the leftover parts of the Afton amalgamation that Fazbear Entertainment dug up. It's not possessed by William or Charlie, it's possessed by the agony of the teenagers who died in the Tales from the Pizzaplex epilogues. It was the Blob/Tangle who destroyed the Pizzaplex. After the Mimic 1 code/Glitchtrap was uploaded to the Pizzaplex, Glam Bonnie was starting to notice some strange behaviors coming from his friends and a bit from himself, and he started investigating. Glitchtrap learned that Glam Rep Bonnie was onto him and sent Vanny to order Moon, her henchman, to destroy Glam Bonnie. After David's death and after attacking the Mimic, Edwin realized he had created a monster. He then built the Mix's supercomputer to try and conceal the Mimic from the public. Only it didn't work so well as Fazbear Entertainment seized both the Mix's machine and the Mimic and shut down Mix's. Fast forward several decades after the events of Security Breach, Vanessa stumbles onto the Mix's machine, and she has Gregory repurpose it into the Mixes we see in Ruin. While Vanessa originally made the Vanny mask, Fazbear Entertainment confiscated it and made it into a technician's mask. Ships-wise, Glam Freddy and Glam Bonnie are a couple, Roxy and Glam Chica are a couple, the rest of the animatronics are single. Cassie's dad, Carlos, was a Fazbear technician, and as a technician, he had a lot of work to do around the Pizzaplex. Help Wanted 2 is him doing that work, for the most part. After the events of Security Breach, Carlos started working with Vanny to bring an end to Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap learns about this and sends his nightmare-owned staff bots after Carlos. Carlos dies, but dying made him able to do the final task to bring down Glitchtrap, Princess Quest 4. After Princess Quest 4, Carlos ends up in Mapbot, becoming Maskbot, and against his will, he hands the Vanny mask to his daughter, Cassie. (1968) William and Henry create the characters Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and Puppet. 1970. Fazbear Entertainment is founded, the first Fall Fest. 1971. Fazbear's Family Diner is built. Fazbear Entertainment expands rapidly. 1979. Andrew dies. The Mimic is built. Mixes is built. The events of Secret of the Mimic. Fazbear Entertainment dwindles down to just William and Henry again. 1983. The second Fall Fest. Anastasia dies. Elizabeth dies. The Bite of 83 happens and Dave dies. Charlie dies. Fredbear shuts down. 1985. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens. BMCI happens. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closes. 1986. A new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens. Late 1986 to early 1987. Hallie, Macy, River, and Adam are murdered. 1987. Events of Fnaf 2, The Bite of 87. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closes again. 1994. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza reopens. 1996. William remarries to Michaela Shelley. 1997. Vanessa is born. 1998. Events of the week before. Events of Fnaf 1. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closes. William traps Michael in the testing chambers. 2002. William and Michaela divorce. Michaela dies. 2003. William builds Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental above the testing chambers. Follow Me minigames happen. William dies. 2008. Michael escapes the testing chambers. Events of Sister Location happen. 2015. Events of FNAF 3. 2017. Events of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Cassie is born. 2020 to 2022. Stories connected to the Stitchline epilogues happen, starting with the man in room 1280. 2022. Stitchline epilogues. Events of Help Wanted. 2023. The Pizzaplex is built. 2028. Glitchtrap takes over Gregory's mind. The all-staff meeting happens. 2029. Gregory breaks free of Glitchtrap. Events of Security Breach. Pizzaplex closes. Tangle / the Blob destroys the Pizzaplex. Gregory and Vanessa install mixes. Fazbear Entertainment rebuilds Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. 2030, Carlos dies. Fazbear Entertainment officially goes bankrupt. 2031, Events of Ruin. Oh boy, that was a lot. I didn't cover every single little AU detail in this, but I tried to cover the main points. When future Fnaf content comes out, like the Escape the Pizzaplex book and the Secret of the Minute game, I can pretty much guarantee that I will be making an AU update video, which I will put a link to in the description of this video. If you have any questions about my AU, please feel free to ask in the comments. But bye for now! Jeremy also blamed himself for Jeremy going, oh my goodness. God, stop sliding on my nose. I am struggling. I wish I could see better on this side. I need to angle. I keep angling this. I need to angle this way, but I can't angle this way because I need to wait. But William made Vanessa lie about Michaela in court. Seriously? Where was I?